one of the things that I noticed, the world noticed, is the unbelievable hysteria that was associated with Trump, right? And I talk about this in the Parasitic Mind, right?
Yeah.
And I call this collective Munchausen and so on, right? Well, I could take people, and you could probably think who I'm talking about, who've made their careers on being super reflective thinkers, intellectual thinkers, people who meditate, right? And if you look at the hysteria that they engaged in, it would be impossible for me to determine that they were not someone who escaped from a psychiatric institution, right? So Trump is going to end democracy. Trump is going to completely crash the economy. I mean, we're going to be bartering with the cups, because there's no longer going to be currency he's going to destroy. He's going to usher a nuclear holocaust. Now, imagine if I were to get up and say on in my public platform, there is no such thing as the earth being round. The earth is flat. There is no proof that sperm is the mechanism by which you fertilize an egg. That's not true. That's a Zionist hoax. I would be laughed out of the public sphere very quickly.
Yeah.
But how could you get away as a progressive with equivalent departures from reality? Now, again, you could hate Trump, but to argue that he was going to usher a nuclear holocaust, or that he was going to end the economic systems as we knew it, is a form of it's a form of reality denialism, right? And so that's why, by the way, I get very spicy at times on social media, because in a sense it's my only pressure valve release, right? Because I look at the world and I see these people that historically I had respect for them, and I see them to be the exact same buffoons as other folks that we otherwise typically look down on as those little great unwashed rubes. But you're the same moron as them.
Yeah, no one is immune to. Some people are more immune to it than others, but as you've said, I mean, rational thinking and logical thinking are very much the exception more than the rule. And you can have, and what's really interesting as well, though, is I think people are kind of siloed, right? So you can have someone who in this area and that area, they're very logical and rational. And then when it comes to this one, all of that, it totally goes out the window. And I think it's interesting you mentioned Trump, because people joke about the whole Trump Derangement Syndrome, TDS thing, but it's very, very real. Like Donald Trump, I don't know exactly what it is, but he broke a lot of people. He really broke millions of people who, I mean, there are certain people I know where you can talk about almost any issue and you can have like a fair, reasonable, balanced, open conversation. When you mention the T word, the emotions just override everything. And people don't want to hear the other side. They want to demonize. They want to believe things that are not true. They want to put words in his mouth that he never said, etc. And I just find that whole thing really, really fascinating. I don't know if it was the power of the media that just framed him and brainwashed millions of people essentially to believe that he genuinely was a potential Hitlerian type figure or something like that. But the things people say about that man in particular, I was truly fascinated by it. You know, I think the one benefit of Joe Biden winning, I think, is that the temperature can kind of calm down a little, because I was getting just like, geez, people are. I know people like to say that, oh wow, it's the yeah, sure, Trump does have some very gung ho supporters, but the stuff I was seeing that was really disturbing wasn't coming primarily from his supporters, but the detractors who just made out in their brain that this isn't just someone who they think is a bit offensive or a bit of a buffoon, or they don't like his policies, or they think he's brash, or, you know, he's a bit of an a-hole, whatever. You know, like, okay, I can get all that. But when people get into he's running concentration camps on the border, he's literally murdering black and brown people. He's a white supremacist. He's this, he's that. I'm just like, hang on a minute. Like,
right. What
are you talking about? Like, what do you mean he's a white supremacist and he's running concentration camps on the border and he's murdering black people? Which black people is he murdering? Like, can we Give me some details here because I don't know. It's
So there's a lot of stuff to unpack there.
yeah.
In chapter 2 of the parasitic mind, the chapter looks at the tension between thinking versus feeling. Okay,
Mm,
and I argue in that chapter that it is a incorrect and moot dichotomy because we're not thinking animals or feeling animals. We are both.
mhm,
The challenge is to know when to activate which system. When should I activate my cognitive system and when should I activate my affective system? When I'm going down a dark alley and I see four young men loitering around, and yes, young men are more dangerous than elderly women, and that's not ageism or sexism. So when I see four young men loitering in an alley and I'm about to take that shortcut to get home more quickly, and then my heart starts racing, my blood pressure goes up, I start getting a fear response, so my emotional system has kicked in. That's evolutionarily perfectly expected. I've evolved to have that affective response. If I'm trying to solve a calculus problem on an exam, all of the affective triggering in the world is not going to help me solve that triple integral. So
mhm,
which system I activate is the whole enchilada, right? So when it comes to Trump, what happened? I mean, there are many reasons why people hate them, but if I'm going to come up with an overriding meta framework, as I like to do when I explain these complex phenomena, I'm going to use here a prop. I want you to imagine that this memory stick is a cork of a wine bottle. Okay.
okay.
So my mother tongue is Arabic. So there's an expression in Arabic that says getting drunk by smelling the cork of the wine bottle, right?
Mhm,
And since Greg Gutfeld of Fox now uses that framework in everything, he explains the whole world according to my thing. Right? But let me explain what it is. So look, I'm going to now. So here's a glass of wine, okay, which I
mhm,
have to drink to get drunk, or I could just smell the cork. Oh my God, I'm already drunk. Now I
mhm,
don't know if you understand where I'm going with this. So Obama, I'm going to smell now the cork of Obama. Oh my God, he's lanky. He has a mellifluous voice. He speaks like a Southern Baptist minister. God damn, I'm getting drunk. You see how I'm
mhm,
getting drunk? He
mhm,
is so mellifluous. He is so sexy and noble. Every single syllable that he utters is pure platitudinous bullshit that has zero meaning. But I'm drunk. Now let me
mhm,
get drunk by Trump. Trump might say things that I'm perfectly in agreement with when it comes to critical race theory, when it comes to rejection of open borders, when it comes to fiscal policy, foreign policy, not get into, there might be literally 25 top key policy positions that I agree with, but he disgusts me. He's vile. He's brash. He's bombastic. He's crude, right? He's
mhm,
gauche. But I am a Malibu champagne elitist. So he is an aesthetic injury to me. He disgusts me. So what have I done? I got drunk by the cork for Obama because he is so mellifluous in his oratory skills. I was disgusted and repulsed by Trump because he's a disgusting ogre.
mhm.
But in neither cases was I able to offer one valid substantive justification for why Obama is a noble prophet and Trump is indistinguishable from Hitler.
Mhm.
That's the problem with people, is that they are incapable of this distinguishing the fast and frugal deployment of their emotions versus actually engaging in cognitive thoughts. Like, so how could it be, for example, that the same person, a public intellectual, can say, I agree, critical race theory is dreadfully a bad idea.
Yeah.
It is suicidally bad. Trump bans critical race theory in the federal, for federal employees,
Mhm.
but yet you're unable to give him credit for that because, bruh, he is going to usher nuclear holocaust. That's intellectual dishonesty.
Yeah.
It comes from getting drunk by the cork of the wine bottle.